Hello. So I thought it'd be fun to do a Q&A. I always love when the people that I follow do Q&As. I feel like I always get to know them a little bit more, and that's really what I want. I really want this to be like a big community of all of us where we know each other and we can relate to each other. So I asked some questions on my Instagram and I wrote them all down here. So I'll just go through them one by one. The first question I think is a great starting point. Where did I grow up, my general backstory, and getting into modeling? I grew up in the Panhandle of Florida in a small town called Destin. It's a huge vacation spot. If you're from the Southeast, you've probably heard of it. And then my dad owned a gym in 30A, so I spent a lot of my time in 30A, between 30A and Destin. And then a general backstory, I don't know which direction to go in. I was homeschooled growing up, so elementary school is pretty much in public school. And then in middle school and high school, I was dual enrolled. I really liked that dynamic because I feel like I was ahead educationally. I was educated classically. So I learned Latin, I learned like arithmetic, just general math and science, but it was all classical education. But I also was exposed to public school, so I had that social aspect, and I did all my sports at the public school. So I got to compete with the kids, I got to know kids my age, so I feel like I was pretty normal. And then I'm the oldest of 3 kids. I love my family so much. I had the best parents growing up. They raised me super well. And then I guess things that kind of apply to now, I've always been super interested in France. I've always been very independent, and I've always been pretty athletic. So it's kind of like a general backstory. And the last part of that question was how I got into modeling. I had another question that said, how did I get started in modeling? Is it possible to get started at 22? Absolutely. I did not start modeling until last year, June of last year, when I was 24. I had no idea that age was a factor when it came to being signed as a model. I was just completely oblivious to that fact. So I just pursued it like I was 16, 17, 18 years old. I was very tenacious. So when I was like, 2022 is the year I'm going to get signed, I dedicated myself to that goal. I would submit my digitals. I made a list of every agency that I submitted to, especially because I live in Miami. I feel like that gives me a little bit of an advantage because I'm local. So I would submit my digitals, and then I would call the agency and say, hey, I just submitted my digitals to you. Did you guys get a chance to look at them? And they're like, oh no, we get so many submissions a day. Email them directly to me. So I'd email them directly to the agent. And then I got asked to come into the office by 2 different agencies, and I signed with the second agency, which is Select. And if you're in Miami, I love Select. They're amazing. All right, this is a fun question. If my life was a movie, what song would be the opening montage? So I thought a lot about this question, and I can go in 2 different directions. I think I would either go with something like Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson or Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. I feel like both of those songs are very accurate depictions of how I feel about my life, just kind of like growing up in a small town, needing to feel like I need to spread my wings. Or I would go in a completely opposite direction and do like Back in Black by AC/DC. I feel like that would be more fun. So one of those 2. Okay, the next question. Oh, let's do a kind of light one. My clothing staples and my perfumes. I actually just picked up this really amazing spring perfume called Magnolia Bliss. Magnolia something, but it's by Juliet Has a Gun. I picked up the little sample from Sephora. It smells so clean, and it's very florally. It smells like magnolia flowers. Beautiful scent. I love it. I'm wearing it right now. It smells really good. I also really love Ballancourt by Maison Louis. It smells exactly like Santal, and it's significantly cheaper than Santal 33 by Le Labo. So those are my 2 favorites. And then my clothing staples. When I was little, always wanted a wardrobe full of beautiful dresses. So I definitely made that a priority as I was growing up, is to buy more dresses and wear less pants. So I'd say like really flowy, loungy, comfortable dresses are a staple in my wardrobe. I think some fun shoes, like I used to have this pair of red Converse that I actually gave away a long time ago because they got super dirty, but loved my red Converse. It's like a little pop, even when I'm wearing an ordinary outfit, I had a fun shoe on. I really liked that. So those are kind of like staples. Those aren't really basic staples, but those are staples in my wardrobe. Okay, next. Being in a relationship versus being single, the difference and which one is best. Okay, this is a really good question. I have to think about this. Oh, she also said in parentheses, finding autonomy and self-worth. So my gut reaction to that is you have to love being single. Growing up, I never felt the need for a boyfriend. And I think that the fact that I didn't feel like I needed a man in my life allowed me to be incredibly picky about the men that I did choose to date. And I've dated some pretty amazing guys. I've never really had like a toxic relationship. I've also never had a super long-term relationship because I had a very clear vision of exactly what I wanted in my partner. And if I felt like that person was not, I was dating their potential and not them right now, I would just break up with them. I'd just call it off. So when it comes to autonomy and self-worth, I think it's best to find that when you're single. I know that people have been in relations for a long time and are able to find it. I think that's very important to find it when you're single. However, when you're in a relationship, that person is going to magnify your good and your bad. They're going to make you see a lot of areas where you thought that you were doing super well, and it turns out maybe you could improve. I at least had that experience when I was dating Ravi, but that's a good thing. Like, you grow as a person because of that. So I've had to redefine what autonomy and self-worth meant to me being in a relationship with Ravi, because I knew what it meant when I was single. But to me, it means something different when you're in a relationship, because you want that partnership and you want to value their opinion and value them as a person. I guess, long story short, it's best to have your full identity as a single person so that you know exactly what you want in your partner, so that when you find your partner, when they trigger these things inside of you, you know it's for the best and that you're going to grow because of it. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's do a fun question again. My favorite part about French culture. So if there's one thing to know about me, it's that I've probably read every single book there is to read about French or Parisian culture. I'd say that my favorite things are their dating perspective. So they're very casual when it comes to dating. The book that I just read, it was called French Women Don't Sleep Alone. It was very good. It was about French dating. But it talked about how a French woman, when she's interested in a man, will host a soiree or like a dinner party and invite the man that she's interested in, but also invite other couples and other friends from work and other men, so that the man that she's interested in can see her in this element of hosting and taking care of other people and being around other friends. I really like this versus having a first date where it's just you two talking. You have to like find out everything about each other. Okay, the next question. How do you level up spiritually and integrate lessons effectively? Oh my gosh. Okay, so to level up spiritually. For me, leveling up spiritually is developing a more intimate relationship with God. I come from a Christian background, and I firmly believe that God is with us all the time. And I remember my sister said this a long time ago. She's like, if you ever feel distant from God, it's not because he moved, it's because you've moved. So I think leveling up spiritually is realigning yourself with who God calls us to be, which is loving, which is caring, which is selfless, which is joyful, which is kind. So to me, that's what leveling up spiritually means. Then the other part of that was to integrate lessons effectively. I think the important thing to note about integrating lessons into your life is that you're not going to be perfect all of the time. And sometimes a huge step is just being aware of the changes that you need to make. For example, my boyfriend always gets on to me about leaving things around the house, even though I'm a very clean person. This is a topic we can discuss later. But I'm aware that I need to clean up more, and I absolutely do clean up more. But it doesn't mean that I'm still I don't meet his standards of cleanliness. But I'm aware of what that is, and so I'm just kind of working towards that every single day. I think that's the best way to integrate lessons into your life effectively. Also, practicing discernment. I think that we have a great ability to tell if something fits into our life or not. And sometimes we try to force things, and that's not good. I don't think we should ever force anything. Okay, and last question is best fashion tips. I'm certainly no fashionista, but I definitely do love watching runway shows and watching YouTube videos about how to dress better. I'd say the best fashion tip I've ever heard, and this is super simple because it applies to literally anything that you could ever wear, is if you're not wearing a monochrome fit, like head to toe red or black or white, is to follow the 2/3 rule. So for example, wearing black pants that go kind of like up to your mid-waist, and then black boots, and then maybe like a white top, so that 1/3 of your body is one color and then 2/3 of your body is another color. I think that's a super applicable tip that you can start using. And another fashion tip I think is just to dress however you want. I think that there is some validity to dressing for your body type when it comes to like really flattering your body. But I feel like people's fashion sense comes from what they love and what they feel comfortable wearing. So as long as you feel comfortable and you feel beautiful and you feel like you're not dressing for anyone else, I think that's the best fashion tip. I think that was all. If you guys have any other questions, I would love to answer them in the comments below. I'm trying to get this channel to 1,000 and I think we're like 15 subscribers away. So it would mean a lot to me if you like this video, if you would subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.